edition of Casual Crypto and Coffee. It's kind of a long, if you guys aren't familiar with this is more of a long form version of my weekly reviews on Mondays. In the weekly reviews on Mondays usually are about 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, but sometimes longer. These are going to be roughly 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm doing it for a few reasons. One, a lot of you guys like the longer form, kind of casual look at the market. A lot of these I'm looking at for the very first time for the entire week, or if not for the day. So kind of gives a fresh look. It's also a little more casual, so I don't have to, work with a script or kind of be formal, uniform. I can just kind of play it chill, right? And a lot of you guys like the chill thing. The weekly reviews are more of like a snapshot of looking into the week, a little more cut and dry, get to the point kind of thing. This is casual. I don't, like I said, I don't have a fixed script for this, so I might just talk about whatever, and that's okay. Generally speaking, however, if you want to follow along, I'll probably cover the major things for the first 10 minutes, like Bitcoin, Ethereum. We got a lot of news to cover that I'm personally interested in and involved in, and you might be too. And considering all that, I might even go into some security things or what have you. So that being said, you got all that. If you haven't seen it already, I also have Apex Academy. It's a new academy I'm starting up. I've got most of the spots full. I'm about 90% filled up. I have not started it yet. It's going to start probably the first week of December. Aiming at, let me see the calendar here. Probably December 5th, it looks like. That's the beginning of the week of December. So that's what it looks like. I still got some seats left. We'll see how that plays into Thanksgiving and what have you. Looking forward to that as well. And then also, I'm probably going to be giving away some hardware devices, maybe a couple ledgers or Trezors, seeing as it's a good time to keep up on your security. So stay tuned for that. But that'll probably be on my Twitter. And then last but not least, before I get started, this is a casual crypto and coffee. So I had asked you guys. I bought a collection set of a coffee called Onyx. It's a coffee that is roasted fresh daily from Arkansas. I live about 7 hours away from there. I had it delivered to me. And so it's kind of like my treat for the holidays. Like I kind of tend to do that. Like I really like holidays a lot. And so this is kind of my going into that. And so I'm, you probably saw the intro to this as well, showing the coffee that you guys picked. So there was 3 choices: the Ethiopian, the Kenya, and then the El Salvador, I believe. And I was surprised that Ethiopia was the top pick. I thought it would be something different. And so I have brewed with me right now the Ethiopian blend that you saw in the intro video. And it's pretty good. It's got a nice earthy tone to it. And a lot of Ethiopian coffees tend to as well. And it's got a little bit of kind of like a graham aftertaste, or it's mellow, but it finishes strong. Really good. I highly recommend Onyx Coffee. They're not sponsored. I wish they were. They probably don't need me to sponsor them. They're very popular in kind of the snobbish coffee world. So wish I could get that sponsor, but I'm sure I won't. So if you are interested in them, I'll throw them in there. I don't really care if you buy any or not. It's not gonna affect me one way or the other. But I figured as kind of a, if you guys like coffee as kind of a treat, I'm gonna go over one flavor every week, every video essentially. And I've got 12 of them, so you can expect 12 videos in total. Maybe we'll see. So anyway, that's enough of that. And so we'll get started. I usually go through the total when I try to cover some things. um, and I usually do that for the week. And I mean, obviously, there's nothing really much here to report. It's been pretty boring overall, and you can see this pattern here. It's very similar to Bitcoin, and one of the reasons this is one thing I have noticed is that most of the volume is in Bitcoin currently, and there's a reason for that. Like, most people are out of the markets, and usually, so back when I started in 2017, a lot of people, when crap hit the fan, everybody got out of the altcoins, the more speculative ones first, went into Bitcoin, Ethereum, then went into Tether, and that's still kind of true today. People do go into Tether a lot now, more than they did, even though a lot of people claim Tether's, has its problems, but it's doing fairly well amongst all the stuff that's going on now. Worth it to kind of discuss a little bit of what's going on. As you guys probably know by now, FTX and the Sam's thing. I don't really want to get into that because you guys know how serious that is, and all that. And there's lots of varying statements. Some of them are very radical. Some of them are probably true. So I don't want to get into which one's which, because everybody's probably searched into that. If you're in the crypto world, you know by now what's going on. So, but one aspect of that is, from a trading standpoint, that has taken pretty much all the liquidity out of the market. So, and that's very concerning, because you're not able to trade as well. So I don't know if I have any lower coins right here, but like Looks, for example, like Looks Rare was pretty popular before, and I don't know how the history is compared to other exchanges, but on KuCoin, this is not a healthy chart, right? So, but especially, it was already kind of dying out. But one thing you want to notice here is on the 1 hour. Let's get rid of my band strategy. You can see, where is it? Right, it got a little choppy here, kind of smoothed out a little bit here, and you can tell by how choppy the candles are, and you can see here how there's these gaps. These aren't necessarily like CME gaps and those kind of things. These are just liquidity gaps, because there's just not enough people trading it right now. And you'll notice something, and I've mentioned this before. If I go to CoinGecko, so this is the top 100 chart, and it's sorted by market cap. But if you sort it by 24-hour volume, and then so we're just looking at this right here, you've only got 2 coins that are doing above $10 billion a day. And so that's pretty significant. But even more, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 6 that are doing more than 1 billion a day. And I'm actually kind of surprised XRP is hanging in there. I think I saw some news. Let's see. Let's take a look here. I don't know if they. Yeah, this is still valid here. So, this looks okay. It's kind of wonky. I haven't traded XRP for some time now, because when the SEC thing started, I was using Kraken at the time, and they shut me off from it. They froze my Ripple or XRP, and I don't have access to it, which is strange because I can't trade it, but I can hold it. I can't withdraw it, and it's very, I didn't have a lot of money at the time, and so it's kind of strange to kind of have that going on, but whatever. So we got that going on, and you can see how this kind of goes pretty low pretty fast. So I'm gonna filter this, and so like these are kind of wrap coins, for lack of a better explanation, and you can see the volume is like really bad. And so I think I mentioned this in another video. Bitsy token, which is an exchange, it's only doing like $100,000. I don't even know if these guys are solvent or not. I actually used to work for them about 3 years ago when they were just getting started, and I don't know anything. I don't know anything about them. I have no attached to them right now, anyway. But you can see like this volume is really bad. Like for a good sized trader, you probably need at least a minimum of $10 million. So you got like, you know, all the way to here. So let's resort this out. Actually, we'll sort it by market cap here. So the highest one, I mean, you got rank number 16. That's a special coin, but it's only doing like 15 million. It's really bad. And then the next one at rank 22 is only like almost 3 million. And you got Open Network. You got Monero is not really doing so hot either, which is very strange considering the circumstance. So you got a lot of weird liquidity problems, and unfortunately, the bad news is that that's probably going to stay for a while. I would probably venture to say it's going to stay for probably the rest of the year. Now, the good news is that Bitcoin seems relatively unaffected. So what you want to do here, if you want a good ratio of volume, you usually want it to be about 10%. The volume of the 24-hour volume should be about 10% of the market cap. And this is roughly about 9%. This one right here, I don't know what, don't have my quick math right here, but 9 divided by 145. So that's about 6%. So that's much lower than you'd want to expect. This is really high. And guess what? That's because it's Tether. It's about half the volume. So you can see the volume from here is going into here. USD coin is rather low considering the market cap. I'm not really sure why that is. It could be because this is more of a centralized stable coin, but I don't have enough evidence for the video to tell you one way or the other. But look at this right here. You know, that's really low here. Let me see. 8.4 divided by 4.4. That's 1.9% of the volume. So this is really, really, really bad. And if we want to kind of look at this, we just see this kind of fade into oblivion. I don't really see this holding, especially given the certain news. I think the United States is going to start doing kind of a probe, so to speak, for CZ. That's just what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I just literally saw that on Twitter about 10 minutes before I started the video. So you got all that too. And so that's another thing to consider with FTX and SAM and CZ and this whole thing. The narrative is kind of being presented differently in the mainstream media as versus what we might know it, especially somebody like me and the thousands of people that have been here for so long. People that have been way more vocal than I have said, like, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. You know, I don't want to say anything that could be bad or good because I'm not an expert. I wasn't involved in FTX. I don't have any. I never had any assets in it, so I don't really know. But that's just what we're dealing with for now. But that also has affected the market, and that's kind of what I want to mention. Another thing that happened recently this morning was was what was it? Genesis. The platform has ceased doing lending operations with their partners, and the biggest partner that most people would be familiar with is Gemini. And so that directly affects the Gemini Earn accounts. And that Gemini Earn is something that I've used before. I had a little bit of money in it, not a whole lot. But it goes to show you, like, they claim to not be directly involved in FTX. I don't know if they are. I don't really care. But they do say that they are having some issues fulfilling their lending platform at this time. Could be because of liquidity. Could be because they've done withdrawals. Could be a combination of those things. And so what you have is, it might be an indirect result of FTX. Like a lot of people, like myself, like I've gotten, a large majority of my money exited, from this craziness, because you don't know when's the next exchange that's gonna halt. Crypto.com was affected. They did not cease anything, but they are the target. And I think an exchange like that's very centralized in nature, I think a lot of that criticism is warranted. I think KuCoin has suffered some criticism, and they're okay for now. Tether did as well, and they seem they're okay for now. A lot of people that are attached to the digital cryptocurrency group are becoming effective. There's a couple exchanges that have now gone under. Liquid is one of them. I used to use Liquid a long time ago. I haven't used it for about 3 years now. And there's some other ones, and it's crazy to see these big names just fall. And it's happened before, like with Mt. Gox. I know BitMEX had some trouble, but I know they're still around, but they're not around like they used to be around. See what I'm saying? And there's other ones. There's exchanges that I've used, like Cryptopia. There's some other ones I can't remember that they're just gone. They're gone. And so that's just the nature of it. But it's something to keep in mind. Like, you can't just keep your assets on the exchange, especially in a time when things are rough. But that's also, a lot of you probably use leverage, and that's what leverage is for. Let's say you have $100,000. Well, if you want to use a central exchange, then you put 10,000 on there from that 100,000, so 10%, and then you can leverage up to that 100,000. And that's what leverage is meant to be for. It's not meant to put all 100,000 and then 100x that. I mean, that's how you get in trouble. So the idea generally is, you don't, in my opinion, I have a much more stricter opinion than somebody else. I had heard before back in the day, and I don't remember who it was, but they said don't keep more than 25% of your portfolio on one exchange. And I agree with that. I would probably even be a little more stricter and say like 20%. I'd probably put no more. Like, I'd keep the least amount on centralized as possible. Let's put it that way. But keep it on a hardware wallet. Keep it on a DeFi wallet, especially, like, particularly. And when I say DeFi wallet, like ones that actually give you 12-word seed phrases. So, for example, like MetaMask would qualify, because you can make a wallet on MetaMask. For example, so like MetaMask, so you can. These are the only browsers that are supported. I'm using something different right now, but this you can download this, and I'll get to this in a minute. But you can download this, and you can get your recovery phrases. You can take that recovery phrase and put it into a different one, like Trust Wallet, for example. And so I've done this to where I've created a MetaMask wallet, and I've actually installed it on Trust Wallet, and that's what I mean by DeFi. Something that you can export. So if MetaMask goes down, I can install it on Trust. And if Trust goes down, I can install it on 1inch. And if 1inch goes down, I can install it, I'm token wherever, so like there's plenty of them out there around. I can make some suggestions, but those four, I'm not a big fan of MetaMask because it's kind of slow on mobile devices. But I do use MetaMask is good. Trust Wallet is decently okay. I'm not a big fan that they're in the Binance ecosystem, but they do work. Coinbase Wallet is okay as well. I don't use it for everything. That's more of like a backup. 1inch has a good smooth experience, and they've got multi-chain, so that's a decent pick as well. I'm Token is much more old school, but it works. My Ether Wallet is in the same boat, and then you got Zerion as well. And those are all anything that gives you a recovery phrase is good. So what I don't mean is like Argent. So they claim to be DeFi, but they're not DeFi in the sense. So they're DeFi in the sense that you can, let's see if I can find it. I don't even care about this, to be honest, but so they have a DeFi category, and they got some of this stuff here, but that's not what I was looking for. I think, let's see, DeFi. Let's see, that's not what I want either. So they even put here self-custody without seed phrases. So what this is it's not actually self-custody. So what happens is you still need to contact Argent to get your assets. So let's say you lose your wallet, they retain your assets. They don't have access to the seed phrase, but it's encrypted in their cloud. And so far that's kind of okay, but then the problem is that you're relying on Argent. So if Argent goes out of business, you don't have your money anymore. So that's the thing. So this is an oxymoron right here. Another thing they do is they call it, here it is, Guardians. So they call it Guardians. So it's like basically a multi-signature recovery system. And so, you can use it for hardware wallets, which is good. So it's basically like a two-factor wallet thing. So I actually didn't know it was for hardware wallets or MetaMask. So this might be okay, but I don't want to verify that on a recorded video. But I would venture to say like a real DeFi wallet, or get something like a Ledger or a Trezor. So anyway, it's a mess right now, and the best thing you can do is protect your capital, because this right here is not good to trade right now. I am much less active in trading than as I was. I'm probably less active trading now than I have been for the whole year. And so, like, as you guys know, we were up here, and to be honest, like I've had about the same amount here as I had down here. I saved a lot of money along the way. I did not trade any of this. So I did long this region for the most part. I got out of the markets here, and then I traded in here, and then I stopped trading here. So that's on a macro level. And so honestly, I haven't traded as much as I could have. I've missed a lot of major short moves that I could have gotten on margin, but that's just how it is. Sometimes you miss the good moves. Sometimes you're not looking for them. And, it is what it is. One thing that I'm going to teach in the academy is I'm a big fan of Darvis. It's a methodology of trading where you catch on to momentum trades. So it's a combination of price action and momentum. And so let's say you got here, where's a good example here? So something like this. So you got this big cluster here, right? And let's change this. I never know what color to actually do. So you got this big clump of mess. But one thing you can figure out is this: we had a low here, higher low here. But once you get to like right here, so you kind of have a set of higher lows. But once we break below this, it's free game. So the idea of a Darvis is that you short the close, or you short the close below it, so something like this. And you can put your stop here, or it just depends. I'll teach more about that later a little bit. And so that's going to vary. This isn't the best setup here, but this is just an example. So another example is obviously this range here. We had an established range. We had an upswing from here. Your trigger would be at the low of the box. This is where you short. So another short example, you'd short here. If you want to be safe, you could target the other end of the box, or you could even target somewhere a little higher than the mid. You can short down, and then you get a good position. And so with this here is like, this is deceptive. So even if this is a good position at 4.3, I usually increase the risk, because usually when you have, I don't know if I like this blue. I can never decide. Sorry guys. And ladies, potentially. Let's see. So once you break this range, you can pretty well think that it's not going to come up here. So very rarely does it. Let's see, where's it at? Very rarely does it go immediately like this. So what would happen is, if it does go down, you should get the follow through. If it doesn't, then you have an invalidation point inside the box. So like something like this. So like let's say if it does go down and you miss it, and then it goes up like this, then you stop right here. And yeah, you might break even or have a little bit of profit, but it is what it is. I'm not afraid to be in a position for 2 months or 2 days and not make any money, because that's just how it is. So when you have a position, again, let's say like here's your stop, or here's your entry, and your stop is like at the top of this range. And let's say you went, it's more like right there. So let's say you did something like that, but it goes up instead. Well, you could stop out in the middle instead, and so you might only lose half your position. So it's one of those. It's a high risk, or it's a low to medium risk to high reward scenario, and that's something I'll teach you in detail in the academy, and I'll leave that link in the description below. But for now, yeah, this is pretty heartbreaking. This is just not a tradable area. What I would probably do, here's a cluster here, mark this out here, mark out on the lows, here's your range. And so with me, normally I would say if I would play this range, but if you look how bad this is, look how bad the market is, you kind of see how this is going here. I would much rather, not the best position. I mean, it is the good position long-term wise, but I'd hate to be a buyer up here. But in this particular case, I'm going to wait. I'd probably wait till we get like in this range here to buy for my long-term portfolio, because this is just too risky right now. And also, a lot of the people that are still left, I mean, there's not a lot of people left. But the people that are still left are waiting to go down below. And these are why I have these orange markers here. So like, I have this marked out for a reason. I'll show you in a minute. But let's say, a lot of you guys are waiting for this to go down. And so here's the thing. Why would I risk myself here at 16,700 when the market is crap? It's risky to have any kind of money on risk right now anyway. You could lose any of it unless you're in DeFi. You can't really, even wrap Bitcoin is a little risky it now, because if you don't have a hardware wallet, you're stuck with an Ethereum wallet, unless you have something like I'm Token, which does support Bitcoin network tokens. So it's much less risky actually to wait for the price to go down here. And so that's what, 15%. So you could be a buyer here, and let's say that's where is it at? You can see all these targets, and these are all buy opportunities for me. Like buy a little bit here, a little bit here. I know it's a little more Michael Saylor-ish, but once you get down here, if we do, I have a hard feeling that we're going to go even any below that. But let's say you got your 13.9. That alone is like 50% from where we were like 2 weeks ago. And then if you want to go all the way to the top, you're looking at a 4x. So, you throw, you throw, let's say 10 Bitcoin down there at 13.7. It quadruples from there. So just an idea. So that's one thing I'm looking at personally, is waiting for the larger moves to happen, especially when we got so much chaos going around right now. You just don't really know what's happening. So I think I'll just check out some of these other ones. Ethereum's kind of the same way. I mentioned this in Telegram, how this kind of failed. It's moving up here, but when something like this fails, when you have a triple touch right here and it fails, you almost always get to this orange part, or beige, or whatever color that is. So I'd be looking there for a long, but the higher time frame is a little messy, and it's surprisingly sticking up though. And so let's say for a fib, it is holding the half, so that's a good sign. I would be interested in this bouncing here, but this has already happened, so I think it'll go down here, and I have doubts that it'll bounce from here. So that makes me think that we'll see triple digits again, RSI, and kind of confirming that. Aaron's a little confused. It should be bullish. It technically is holding, but we'll see how that plays out. Other than that, there's not really much to say about Ethereum. I would wait for the 4-day trend to form. Let's see where it's at. It's still bearish, of course. Let's look at the 2-day, because I saw something here. Let's get rid of that. Let's do a line chart actually. So assuming that holds, but I would be doubtful it does. But it'd probably be more confirming to do something like this. So that's another thing. If this, sometimes, not often, especially not in these conditions, if you have a continuation pattern. So this is a textbook continuation pattern. Is that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on the 5th touch, it's supposed to break through. So this is completely valid. This is textbook. This is what most people should be looking at. And a lot of people just get way too complicated with their strategies. And so that's also part of the academy, is to explain like some of these simple things. Like the 3 strategies, A-Rune, price action, momentum, I'm going to teach you how to use them together. And so the problem is, like, let's take price action, for example. Price action is very effective. There's a lot of good price action traders out there. The problem is they learn 100 things about that discipline. And the idea is, if I just learn one discipline really good, I'm going to be an expert. I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars. And that can be true. What's going to be more effective for the average person is to learn a little bit of everything and use the best situations of those disciplines. So my approach is a multi-discipline approach, A-Rune, which is pretty much exclusive to me. There's not many people that use it. So I'm going to show you everything about that. Price action, a lot of people use it, but I use like the top 5 high ratio strategies from that. Momentum trading, going to teach you about the top 5 of those as well. So those 3 combined, I use in tandem together to look at these patterns. Anyway, textbook continuation, had a follow through on the downside. What does happen sometimes, and I would want to watch out for that, is even though this is broken below, it'll come back through. Once it comes back through, it usually retests and it goes super strong up. If this comes back above, this is where I would long big. So right around this range. Blue just feels off for some reason. We'll figure it out. So this is kind of where I would long in that particular scenario. And that's also assuming we don't have any more shenanigans. And that's the hard part, is going back to the volume, 9% or so, or 7 and 9, I can't remember what I said, but the volume's just not there right now. And if the volume's not there, you're not going to get the trading. You're going to have liquidity issues. I don't think Ethereum is going to be having an issue with liquidity, but that's something to keep in mind. And I think I mentioned it before. When you're dealing with like Uniswap and other things like that, I really wouldn't go below like the 50s, because things are just the slippage is getting too big. That's the thing, like you almost can't even use DeFi services in full capacity because of these issues. So that's just something else to keep in mind. I'll go back to the candle chart. And so this works out pretty well. I know Solana, at Sol. And so as you can see, a big down move from the FTX scenario. It's one of those things. There's a big debate, like, is Sol done for because of how closely it was attached to FTX and everything, and it remains to be seen. I do know people that were involved in it with NFTs and other projects. I actually did one of my first big marketing opportunities as my own business was with a project on the Solana network, and I believe it was a launch pad, and I'm sure they're hurting or gone by now, but and that's sad to see, but at the same time, that's just how the business goes. So you can see here, there's a much different reaction. Had the down move, and it's still hovering down below. Versus, this is it's not as healthy as it's a little more similar than I was looking at. Let's see, but maybe not. So you had like a big upswing. You had a higher low, higher low, higher low. So that's not necessarily a healthy pattern though, but those are higher lows. Here you had a swing up, higher low, testing the low. So that makes me think it's going to go down lower, where this one keeps going up higher. This also tells me, going back to the volume, that more volume is going into Bitcoin than other assets, which is normal. But then here you got upswing, lower low, an untested higher low. You also have a breaker here, so I think we'll go back to 12.9. Just kind of looking at this. Is this shortable? I know it's shortable, but is it a healthy one? Kind of remains to be seen, but I would probably wait. I think something I would probably wait for is if we get down to these levels again. If this breaks below here, this will probably break too, and we have a breaker here. So obviously a breaker, put you right around here. I would probably wait for this low to touch, maybe if this breaks down below here, I'm expecting this maybe to be the stop. So this is something that I would do and compensate. You know, I might even do something like that. That's to compensate for slippage, or not slippage, leverage used on a platform. But you'd probably want something more like this. So that's a consideration. I think Sol is a fadeable coin until proven otherwise, and I think, I mean, the 2-day kind of shows that. I mean, these are pitiful right here, and there's no signs of it slowing down. I don't really know, now that FTX is gone, I don't know who has the longest chart. Oh, Solana, or Binance does. I didn't know that. Let's see. Get rid of all that. Let's zoom up to the 3-day. Let's go here. Let's see what we can do here. Put one there. Put one there. And we'll go ahead and put one here too for the overthrow. So this is our breaker, so that makes me think that we would retest this. Look at this. Even though it's March of 2021, this is a breaker, which means 99% of the time it's going to retest. And guess what? It's lower. Now, yeah, you can say, well, hey, FTX did cause that. Yes, it did. But also, that doesn't negate the fact that breakers are accurate areas to go through. So let's go right here. And so you can see that we are in the middle of two of them. And so that's the one reason why we're kind of stuck in this range. And I'll teach this in the academy as well. This move here was very important for this area right here. 2 years ahead of time. It's an important zone. Nobody cared about this at the time. You know, you're at 17. Was it, you know, let's say you got over here. You could have got a max of like 1,300%. Nobody gave a crap about this, right? Now they do. So that's the thing. We're kind of in this little area here. And so throwing that into perspective of this, you also have a range. Here's the top of the range. There's the bottom. You also could do like this and say that this was a reclaim. If so, you want to be longing right now. Let's see how this, we do have a divergence as well. So this could be a long situation. Let me see. And I got to buy. I honestly didn't know that. So this might be a longable situation here. And if that is the case, if you want to do something a little more less conservative, I would do something like this. If you want to be more conservative, I'd put it right around 30%. I usually put it right below where the label is. And that's still a good one. Let's see what that looks like here. So another thing to consider, you know, we have this false buy and this sell that's working out. I would wait, like I said, to like right here. And so 1272. So let's mark that out. Let's go to the 12 hour, I think. So I said 1272. So I would probably, you know, I don't know what this is. Probably do something like that. And then you could, if you wanted to do it really risky, you could go up, you know, that close. Something around there. So that's, I can see this going up. It just depends on the volume. And that's the tricky thing. We got to increase the volume. We had the lower low as well. So not only did we get a bullish divergence, but we also got the lower low. This could be a longable situation, in my opinion. It really just depends how the rest of the market will look. So keep that in mind. Do your own analysis on it. But this is why I go through these, and I didn't look at Solana at this time frame until now for this week. So it's one reason I do the videos. I'm looking at these anyway. I just want to record them for you guys and kind of play that out. So with all that, Binance just looks a little unhealthy as well, and I think it's going to get a kickback. And we've already had 4 touches. A fifth one is very unlikely to hold, so I think we could probably visit lower. If you're talking 3-day, let's see, no weird activity, so I'd say probably the mid of the range, like 240. I can see that. Other than that, the rest of these, these are pretty well avoidable for now. This is weak. DOT is like a joke right now. AVAX is a joke. I don't know. And see, and these are coins that AVAX was not involved. You see what I'm saying? And it's doing weaker than Solana. Well, it's doing about the same. But the point, I guess what I'm saying is like AVAX is more collateral, like indirect, action, and it's really weak. So this says a lot about the coin. We may not see this recover, but who knows? 90%. Personally, I'd be a buyer here at 1 digit, because that's where it gets pretty much all there is to it. Let's see, at 4. So I'd probably buy a little bit at 9, a little bit at 5. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And yeah, I'm not too interested in AVAX because I can always get the trend move if it ever goes up again. But these are coins that are, they may never go back up again. You don't know. So I always wait for confirmation on the 4-day to jump in. And so I use the color band, and it's been gray since 21. So if this ever gets in the blue, then I'm interested again. And the last time it got majorly in the blue, well, it's gotten blue before, but it's like right here at 14. It did like 750, so that's pretty good. I probably would have got out at the gray, however, which would have been 600. So not bad for half a year, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying. Matic is doing healthier. Good thing about Matic is a lot of, I think Nike got recently involved. I know Starbucks and I think McDonald's might be getting involved. So this is one to look out for. I think Matic might be your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Matic might be your top 3 in 12 months from now. So that's something to consider. And I'll just go over a few of these. Filecoin's dead for now. Same with it. A lot of these are going to have the same patterns. Harmony. I like Harmony, but I don't think they did very good. Algo's a little more uniform to what Bitcoin was doing, but they're kind of struggling. And see, this is where the liquidity comes in. People aren't even buying Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. So why would they buy Harmony, right? Or Filecoin? So Dogecoin, even I had a long there, but it's going back. Actually, that went back inside, so that's not good anymore. So this is something to consider as well. But this was all like Elon Musk, stuff, and the rest are about the same. Like, OP. CHZ is still doing a good for now. I don't know when the World Cup ends or even start. I don't even know if it started, but I'm imagining once the World Cup ends that this is pretty much gone. Mask, I have no idea why it's pumping. I know it's in relation to Musk, but it is what it is. And then you got Trust Token, which pumped because of the centralized, fallout news. But I think it's going to start cooling down as well. So that's kind of a rundown. But like I said, Bitcoin's probably where it's at for now. And another thing too is, you get more involved in Bitcoin, you can always sell your Bitcoin for other assets when those start doing better. So that's what a lot of people used to do in 2017, 18. You know, we once something like, you know, this happened. So let's just say like all these right here, like let's say I would long here and then I would sell here where it goes to gray. Like here is because it turned blue. I'd make 30%, and you know, I would maybe sell some of it here for some altcoins, maybe not. But you see what I'm saying? Like you can, I guess that's not the best example, but you have this whole upswing, right? So from, I guess a better example would be this whole upswing, July to November, right? So you go on the 4 hour. Let's see, where is it even at? So you got right here. So same price action, all choppy, right? July, November. What you can do is carry this rally, sell, you know, sell somewhere in here, get the alts here, and go back to Bitcoin again. And probably not the best example, but you get what I'm saying. Rotation is key with that. So anyway, with that being said, I think that's I think that's probably going to be the end of the video. Let me know what you think, what you'd like me to cover, because I can just do a lot of, you know, QAs maybe as well. Please like, subscribe if you liked it. If you don't, I'm glad you stayed this long. Can probably finish the rest of my coffee, but it is cold, so we'll see how that goes, and I'll catch you later. Thank you.